introduce Lieutenant General Mark Milley, the commander of U.S. 3rd Corps. He'll make a statement about what he can right now, and then he'll take your questions after that. Raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll direct you as to when it's time to go ahead and ask your question. All right, so Commander of 3rd Corps, Lieutenant General Mark Milley.
Hey, good evening. I'd like to start off first with condolences to the killed and wounded soldiers here at Fort Hood from an incident this afternoon at approximately 1600 or 4 p.m. Today, a soldier assigned to 13th Sustainment Command Expeditionary fired shots at individuals within the unit areas here, within the 1st Medical Brigade area and the 49th Transportation Battalion area. The post immediately went into lockdown. We have now lifted the lockdown as of about 30 or 45 minutes ago. Within 15 minutes, first responders, the military police and the emergency services responded to the scene, engaged the shooter. The shooter is dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. In regard to the investigation, at this time, there is no indication that this incident is related to terrorism, although we are not ruling anything out, and the investigation continues. An investigation by various law enforcement officers at federal level from ATF and FBI, at the state level from the Texas Rangers, the Texas State Police, along with local law enforcement of KPD and Harker Heights, along with Army CID and Army Military Police. We have confirmed that there are 3 victims who were killed, and then the shooter was killed. And there are 16 injured being treated at Scott and White and here at Darnell. Our thoughts and prayers go out to each of those injured and their families, and the killed and their families. Our focus now is to focus on the families of the injured, focus on the families of the killed, ensure that they have the best care and counseling available. And I do ask the Fort Hood community or anyone in the local community, if they have any information relating to this incident, to please contact either the FBI or the Fort Hood Department of Emergency Services. Events in the past have taught us many things here at Fort Hood. We know the community is strong, we know the community is resilient, we know the soldiers and the civilians and the families of this fort who have served so bravely in combat over the last 13 years in both Iraq and Afghanistan are strong, and we will get through this. Thanks to all who have supported us, thanks to the local community who has supported us over the last several hours and many years. And thanks also specifically to Scott and White for their excellent medical care and their ability to handle additional casualties. And with that, I will take your questions.
General Charles Hadlock with NBC. Do we know a motive? Do we know what set this man off? Can you identify it?
We do not know a motive. We do know that this soldier had behavioral health and mental health issues and was being treated for that.
What's his name?
At this point, his next of kin has not been notified, so I am not going to confirm his name. We do have his name, but the next of kin have not been notified, so I'll wait until that's been done.
Do we know about his service?
He has served in combat. He served 4 months in Iraq in 2011.
Was he suffering from PTSD?
He was currently under diagnosis for PTSD, but he had not yet been diagnosed for PTSD.
Can you describe what happened? Can you walk us through it, as you know it?
It's under investigation. The exact sequence of events and timeline of events are not 100% clear. It is believed that he walked into one of the unit buildings, opened fire, got into a vehicle, fired from a vehicle, got out of the vehicle, walked into another building, and opened fire again, and then was engaged by local law enforcement here at Fort Hood.
Express News, sir.
Sorry?
Sig Christensen with the Express News and First Inspectors. Did he begin this thing with an argument? We've heard that there was an argument in the WTU, and that is how this started, and that he also was using a semi-automatic handgun of some kind.
He was using a 45 cal that was purchased recently in the local area. I am not aware of an argument at the WTU. There are some initial reports there may have been an argument in one of the unit areas, but don't have any indication of an argument at WTU.
Has he been at the WTU?
He has not been assigned here to the WTU.
Has he been at another?
That we don't know. We're checking his background. He recently arrived at Fort Hood in February from another installation, and we're checking with the other installation to determine the background of the soldier. And obviously we are digging deep into his background, any criminal history, psychiatric history, his experiences in combat, all of the things that you would expect us to be doing are being done right now.
Were all the injured were
I'll come back to you. Hang on just a second. Go ahead.
were all of the injured soldiers were because of the gunfire or something else?
They were a result of the gunfire, either direct wounds from the gunfire. In some cases there was some glass that shattered, and some have some superficial wounds from that. Others, one was jumping a fence and got injured there, but it was a result of.
So was this soldier in the process of being transitioned out of the military?
He was not in the process of being transitioned out of the military, to my knowledge, at this time.
General, can you say where his body was found? Was it in his car, next to his car, in the street, next to a building?
His body was found in the parking lot where he was engaged by military police.
When you say engaged, can you describe how they engaged this man?
Military police officer responded, and he was approaching her at about 20 feet. He put his hands up, then reached under his jacket, pulled out the 9mm, and she pulled out her weapon, and then she engaged, and then he put the weapon to his head, and he died of a self-inflicted gunshot.
General, did...
How are you able to rule out terrorism? I'm not ruling out terrorism. All I'm saying is there's no indication of it at this time. We have FBI and all the appropriate federal agencies and all of the various organizations searching all the internet, Twitter, Facebook, and all the normal association you would do, and the investigation on that part is ongoing. We do not have any indications of that right now, but I'm not ruling that out. Say again?
You haven't completely ruled out terrorism.
We are not ruling in or out anything.
General. Congressman McCall said today that in light of the private Abdo's case in 2011 and Major Hassan in 2009, that he's fearful that Fort Hood might be becoming a target of the United States. Can you share that concern?
I'm not sure I understood what he said, but no, I don't have Fort Hood as a specific target, any other installation.
Can you tell us if he had any family on post?
The soldier is married, does have family, and again, we're in the process of notification.
General.
Were they here, sir, or were they living in some other part?
They're in the local area, that's correct.
Were any of the victims known to the soldier?
I do not know that.
How many total weapons did he have?
To our knowledge, he had one weapon, 45 caliber Smith & Wesson.
What normally takes place in this?
That's if I said 9mm, I misspoke. It's a 45 caliber Smith & Wesson.
What normally goes on in this
Don't
building?
know how much ammunition.
What normally goes on in that building? What's it?
It's a headquarters building where they conduct the day-to-day administration of the medical brigade, and then in the other building they conduct the day-to-day administration of the transportation battalion.
How far apart are
You would
they?
visit often?
They're not far away from each other.
How would you describe?
Is this a building you would have gone to regularly or routinely?
The 49th Transportation Battalion, yes, he would have gone to that on occasion for administration purposes. That's his higher age club.
For his treatment?
No, not for his treatment. That's his unit headquarters.
Sir, did you tell us his rank and how he was sent?
I did not say his rank nor his name, and I'll do that when his family is appropriately notified.
General, what type of treatment was he undergoing?
He was undergoing behavioral health and psychiatric treatment for depression and anxiety and a variety of other psychological and psychiatric issues.
But he was not in the WTU.
He was not assigned to the WTU at the time.
General, the female officer who engaged him, how would you describe what she did today?
It was clearly heroic, what she did at that moment in time, and she did her job, and she did exactly what we would expect of the United States Army Military Police.
Did you say he was under a diagnosis?
He he was not diagnosed as of today with PTSD. He was undergoing a diagnosis process to determine if he had PTSD. So that is a lengthy process to be confirmed with PTSD.
So was he diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury?
There are reports, I don't know if he was diagnosed in the clinical sense. There are reports that he self-reported a traumatic brain injury previously coming back from the Iraq.
On any sort of medication?
He was on medications, that's correct.
Like SRIs or antidepressants, anything of that nature?
Yes.
So you said was he a wounded warrior?
He was not a wounded warrior. He was not wounded in action to our records. No Purple Heart, not wounded in action in that regard.
So you said he came from another installation in February. Can you tell us what that is?
At this time, I prefer not. I mean, I got folks calling that installation, talking to the chain of command in order to determine all the background information of the soldier.
What state, sir?
Sorry?
What state, sir? The military
State.
installation? The state where the other installation was? Just the state?
It's here in Texas. Okay, a couple more questions. Yes, ma'am. All of the wounded and killed were military.
Sir, what can you tell us about protocol as far as carrying the type of weapon that the soldier has and other soldiers that are allowed on base? What can you tell us about security measures?
If you have a weapon and you're on base, it's supposed to be registered on base. This weapon was not registered on base.
General, what was your reaction, the first thing that went through your mind when you heard there had been another shooting at Fort Hood?
Immediate reaction was casualties. What kind of casualties? And do we have one or more shooters? And are those shooters secure to provide the protection for the local community?
The FBI already on the scene. The alert that they gave out about Monday regarding thoughts of mass shootings.
We have a local FBI liaison officer, but no, large FBI assets were not here. They are actually inbound to help with the investigation, but no, there's local FBI available to us.
General, after 09, a lot of programs were placed in to help soldiers that were dealing with issues coming back from service. In light of what's happened today, are you concerned that those programs have gaps in them?
We'll have to re-examine all of those programs and see if there were any gaps. So I'm not ready to answer that just yet.
General. You know that there were, over the years now, we've had three, and this is the third one that we've had, first with Hassan, Nasr Abdo, and now this. Are you concerned, beyond the fact that this is not the first time, are you concerned that this place is becoming a target for people for whatever reason? I mean, would your reaction have been when this began, not again, here?
My reaction was not again here. My reaction was to immediately make sure we had a read on the casualties, immediately secure the site, and immediately look for one or more shooters and to secure the installation. I wasn't thinking about not again or any of that.
What do you think now when you think about it?
Right now my concern is with the families of those that are injured and those that were killed.
General, can you talk about how the response...
Discussion about soldiers being allowed to carry a concealed weapon for self-defense. What are your thoughts on soldiers carrying concealed weapons on base?
You're not allowed to carry concealed weapons.
Do you think that should change?
No, I don't think soldiers should have concealed weapons on base. We have law enforcement agents. We're trained professionals, and I don't endorse carrying concealed weapons on base.
Law enforcement reached the scene?
It was within minutes. Exact time, probably 10 to 15 maybe, max.
You're saying that we should have concealed weapons, but it still takes 10 to 15 minutes for law enforcement to reach the scene?
I think the law enforcement acted very rapidly and swiftly, given the nature of this search.
I understand that's their skill.
Yeah, I'm not going to get in a debate with you on carrying weapons on a military installation.
So, General, what was the time duration?
Say again?
Can you tell us anything about the gender of those killed and
No, I don't have the specifics, and I'd rather not go into that. The shooter was a male, and the officer that engaged the shooter was a female.
So, General, what was the
But the other injured, no, I don't.
What was the time duration of the attack from beginning to end?
Probably about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but we don't have an exact timeline.
General, in light of the fact that this was the third incident,
Yeah, let me go to someone else.
Sir,
anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about how the changes made to security procedures and safety procedures in the wake of the Hassan shooting informed your response to today's incident?
Well, I think the response from the law enforcement and the medical folks displayed clear lessons learned from the previous case, and I think that it was obvious that the response was swift and it was appropriate, both from a law enforcement perspective and from a medical perspective. Last question.
Sir, you mentioned that the suspect had bought the weapon a couple of days before. How much indication do you have about premeditation here? Was there anything tied to the timing of it? Was there something going on in this building?
I do not know, and that'll be part of the investigation. Don't know any idea about the premeditation.
General, I do want to follow up with the question.
Last question, go ahead.
Considering that he did have a weapon that was not registered, he carried it on base, are you considering changing the protocol or practices of how you can check a vehicle as it's approaching base, considering this just happened?
I will be reviewing all of those procedures, that's correct.
General, if you tried to
So thank you very much, I appreciate it. Also appreciate your support. We will hold a regular press conference daily until we get all of the information out into the public that we have that's appropriate. I don't have a time for that, but the first one obviously will be tomorrow. And Colonel Chris Garver, our public affairs officer, will put that out. And I just ask for all your thoughts and prayers for the fallen and for the wounded in this particular case. Thank you very much.
General, I know colleague here.
Hey,